Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the proactive caregiver, and I specialize in educating others on how to be proactive. Because you cannot take care of your loved one if you do not take care of yourself. Thanks for coming back. Today's episode is part 2 of the interview with Ken Moench of Moench Method Bodywork. It's exciting because one of the areas we talk about is how we continually hear as we age that our joints will wear out and there will be degeneration. But the conversation of regeneration has not been had yet. And this is what I think is important to hear, because this whole function of aging is a lie. We can age better. Listen in, check it out.
Let me explain really quickly what we do and how that works. And I'll tell everybody in the audience, if you want to try this yourself, you're more than welcome to. What we do basically is this: trigger point therapy, or it's ischemic pressure. Basically, you're blocking blood supply to a muscle temporarily. So what that does is this: if the muscle doesn't get oxygen, then it can't contract because it can't breathe.
Right.
So it'd be like if a person, like say you're in the military and you're trying to subdue somebody, and you put your hand over their nose and mouth for just a little bit,
right.
They're going to pass out. Right? Then you can move their body any which way you want to. If you're holding muscle, just say a bicep, and you're holding this long enough, you're going to block blood supply to this muscle temporarily so it can't breathe, so it can't contract. So if it's normally in a contracted position, like your arm would have eventually been, and then it loses the ability to contract, then what does it do? It will relax. And so if you shorten the muscle and really get into it deeply and really block blood supply to it, eventually it's going to just give up and let go. Then you start pulling the muscle across the area that's being pinned. And what you're doing then is lengthening the muscle and the fascial sheath across the area that's being pinned to the point where it's supposed to relax to. So it's like when you do that, it's like taking bunched up cellophane and pulling it back to the original position so it can move in the direction that it's supposed to. So once the muscle gets to here and the fascial sheath gets to here, the pain signal turns off. It's like taking a light switch and turning position where your body, if you move quickly, it's not going to tear a break. But if it's in this position, your body knows if it's tight, any place like this, when you move quickly, you have a chance of tearing or breaking a bone or a tendon or a ligament or something like that. So it gives you pain to slow you down. That's all it's for. That's all that pain is for. It's literally to protect you. That's all it's doing. It's like a protective mama. It's just doing what it can to protect you.
And it's sad to say it that way and hear it, because I hear it now because I've felt it. And now I really listen to my body. If I didn't before, I'd definitely listen to it now. Because I feel like I'm still in the healing process.
Right.
Even though I don't need surgery and I've been healed, I do feel now when I've extended too far one way or the other. And it's like, oh, that's my body saying, stop.
Right. But
listening to it,
it's amazing. I mean, just the whole concept of listening to your body, because the intelligence that our body has in it is godlike. I'm not saying we're godlike. Our bodies have been created to have the innate intelligence to be able to protect itself and to allow you to function at an extremely high level, even with multiple things going on.
Right.
And the cool thing is, if you can get virtually all of these things opened up and linked into the position that they're supposed to be, and then the other part of it is understanding how these things happen in the first place. I just explained the very first thing, that it happens to everyone, is we're all born.
Right.
We're all in the womb. We're all short and contracted. We all have pre-birth postural deficits. I actually have a book that will be coming out in a while. I have 2 publishers that are wanting to publish this thing.
Nice.
It's Every Baby Hurts is the name, and then the subtitle is And How That Affects Everybody, Including Yours. That's the first thing that happens. We're all balled up in a womb. But then every time that you are in an accident, you have muscles that tighten to protect you, and then the fascial sheath will shorten into that shortened position, and then it heals that way. And so from then on, you have a tightness and restriction, and then your body gets pulled in another direction and that type of thing. The other thing that happens is because of the position that you were in the womb, most of us are going to be drawn to be in the position that you were in the womb. And so I know that for me, I'll pull my left leg up higher than my right. My right one will be, and this one will be pulled up, and I'm more likely to be kind of curled to the left. That's probably how I was in the womb. And so this leg will end up being shorter just by a little bit because it's functionally shorter because the hip flexors get tight and they pull this up and then it shortens. Well, then that creates an imbalance in your hips. And when that happens, then your spine gets shifted a little bit, and then your upper body spine, your thoracic and cervical spine have to correct, and then it will pull the other way. And so you have all of these imbalances that are created, and they're reinforced every single night. So you're shortening muscles so that they don't pull at the attachments, but then they get shorter and they get shorter and they get shorter. And on top of that, if you're sleeping on your side, you're smashing your shoulder, blocking blood supply, pinching nerves. Right. And you really can't overcome poor posture when you're sleeping. You can't. Eventually it will catch up. And those are the reasons why people end up, look, if you work all day sitting, so that everything is short and tight, your hip flexors are short, your hamstrings are short, your glutes are short, your spine's being compressed, you're leaning forward and doing this. And then you spend all night like this, and then like this, and then like this. You're in a fetal position 2/3 of your day. And then if you spend time watching television or you're in your car or truck and you're sitting, then eventually you're going to be in this position, but holding a walker in front of you. You're going to be bent and stooped and feeling very old. Right. When there's no reason for it. Look, the people that people are caring for many times are bent and stooped. Yes. And it's because their hip flexors are too tight and contracted. And because of that, they're bent forward. That puts an enormous amount of stress on their neck and their head, which causes the neck and shoulders to tighten, which blocks blood supply to and from their head, their brain.
And there you go.
So what are the symptoms of getting old? You're going to have a reduced sense of smell, taste, hearing, sight, memory, balance are all affected because of decreased blood supply to and from your head, because we're forward instead of upright. So the only proper way to sleep is on your back, pillows underneath your knees, so you have a slight bend in them, so it takes some pressure off of your hips. Your back and spine are straight, your head is even with the rest of your body, and you're not twisted or torqued one way or the other and blocking blood supply to different parts of your body. It's in the Bible, there's a couple of different verses that say life is in the blood. There's many different reasons for this. There's a spiritual component, but there's an actual physical thing. Life is in the blood. There's oxygen, nutrients, and all of the different things that you need for life and for your body to heal itself well. If you're smashing stuff all night long while it's trying to repair itself, it can't repair itself.
No, there's a roadblock.
And so over time, all that happens is these joints start wearing out. So then they degenerate. What do doctors always talk about? Disc degeneration, joint degeneration. They never talk about regeneration ever, because they never see it. They never see it. Because nobody's talking about what's causing the problem. And the problem is lack of blood supply to joints for sleep, because of sleep posture, because of old injuries, and just lifestyle. Then we do what you did when you injured yourself. You're guarding and protecting and closing off these areas, which is going to cause your subscapularis to get really tight and contracted. And so all of those things have to open in order to get blood back in there so that your body can actually regenerate. Nobody talks about disc regeneration. Nobody ever talks about joint regeneration because it does happen. And it's just, you have to understand the innate intelligence of the human frame that allows you to heal. Our bodies have nearly an infinite capacity to heal themselves. And nobody is telling that story because there's no money to be made in treating problems instead of symptoms. Every time you're injected or medicated or cut on, virtually every time you're treating a symptom. Yep. And I have had people that they were going to have lumbar fusion, spinal fusion, all of these different things. And it's like, the reason for the dysfunction, the herniated disc or the bulging disc is still there when they're doing the surgery. It's kind of like trying to change a fan belt on your motor when it's running. Yeah. That would be a mistake. And so if you're going to do something like that, let's say it's just crushed, there's all kinds, you still should eliminate the thing that actually caused it in the first place. So,
and that's what I wanted to do.
Yes. With your lumbar spine, this is what L5S1, right? Almost always, that's where people are fusing.
Yep.
All right.
That's what I had done first.
Right. So here's your hips. These are your ilium. Your sacrum sits down in between these things. All right. So if you sleep with your left leg up, then this thing is going to get pulled forward when you stand or run. And so then this is where your sacrum is. So the area between your ilium and your sacrum, your sciatic nerve comes through here. So that gets pinched. And then you have pain in your glute and then your hamstring and your calf. And the doctor says, well, you got a herniation and we need it.
And we need to fix it.
If we can just get this back here, and then your psoas muscle, basically this is your tenderloin, and the psoas muscle is the fillet muscle on a cow. That's what they are. So they're supposed to be tender, right? They're supposed to be loose and everything, but those are the very first muscles in your body that get dehydrated.
And those are my indicators when I haven't. Oh my goodness. So this is another, I wanted to have you here for so many reasons, but this is another one of those. When I first came in, one of the questions was, how much water do you drink? I thought I was doing good by getting to that 48 to 64 ounces a day, if I could get there.
Right.
If I don't, I definitely feel the lingering headache. Occasionally, I feel a little fatigue. But the hip, my right hip, before I had my surgery, that's the sciatic nerve that I had the most problems with. My right hip will start aching. Right. And that is my indicator that now I know when my hip aches, I start down in the water. Yeah. And it's not, and here's the thing, it's not as complicated as people try to make it. They'll give you a formula with how much your body weight is and how much you're supposed to do and that type of thing. I think God gave us a perfect measuring cup is your mouth. Yes. And if you get a mouthful of water about every 30 minutes throughout the day, you're going to absorb somewhere between 3/4 gallon and a gallon of water a day. You actually absorb it. Now, there's a difference between drinking water and absorbing the water because your body has a limiter switch on it. If you drank a gallon of water all at once and all that got into your body all at one time, you would die. We would drown. You would die. It would dilute your blood so severely that none of the systems in your body could function properly. So there's a limiter switch. Your body will only allow a certain amount of water to get absorbed into your body at one time. So if you're in a situation like this where you're air conditioned and everything's fine, you can absorb about a mouthful of water every 30 minutes. That's 3 to 4 ounces. That's it. A 3-ounce Dixie cup is the little one with flowers on it that you have in your bathroom. That's it, 3 ounces. So if you just took one of those every 30 minutes, you would absorb 3/4 gallon of water a day. That would get into your bloodstream and get into all of your muscle tissue. It would take and grab all of the lactic acid and metabolic waste in your tissue and flush it out of your system. All the stuff that makes you sore and stiff and tight, it gets flushed out of your body.
just from getting small doses all day long. And then it also hydrates your brain. It hydrates all of your organ systems and helps them to function properly and optimally. And it helps with your digestion. It helps with weight loss. It helps with so many different aspects. You get more clear-headed. You have more energy.
Yes.
Your body can move because a muscle that's properly hydrated glides across one another. The ones that are dehydrated are grinding across one another. And so they're so hard for an athlete to excel without pulling something or spraining or straining something because their muscles just are working so hard. Right. So the hydration is critical. I've had people that have come into the office and it took me an hour to get through one muscle. I tell that same person, go home and I want you to drink a mouthful of water every 30 minutes all day long, every day for the rest of your life. Come see me in a week. And I got through that person's entire body in one session, in an hour. So it was just the difference between being hydrated and dehydrated. But your hip flexors, very first things that get dehydrated. Yep. So with you have always slept with this leg pulled up at night.
Over, yep.
Right? And so you sleep on your left,
body pillow,
and you slept on your left shoulder.
Where the supposed arthritis is.
All the arthritis is.
Yes.
And so you were doing what virtually every mom in the world does. They sleep on their left side because their doctor told them to sleep on their left side when they were pregnant so that the baby would get more oxygen. They never told you to stop.
Goodness. No. My body, it conditioned my body that way. So even after the baby's born, I'm still sleeping on the left side. And I cannot sleep on my right side.
Exactly. So you're smashing that shoulder and this leg's getting shorter. Do you know how many women that I see that left shoulder's killing them? They have migraines and neck pain on their left side and their right low back is a mess. And it happens all
you just described
the time. Okay, now, I can also tell you this. If you're turned that way, your husband's sleeping on this side of the bed.
Just about.
Every woman turns away from their husband at night. They don't want to smell them. They don't want to hear them. Anyway, that's just a thing. But the way that you sleep is you had, and your doctor said, and so you did it and you didn't stop.
Right.
Because nobody thinks anything of it. But that is most of the dysfunction of every female that comes in. They're sleeping on their left shoulder almost always. And their right leg, because of that, is pulled up and across their body, and so it's shorter than the other one. And it's like, this is so predictable.
It is to you, but here it is. I'm hearing this. I'm going, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I've done. But that's what I love, that I was educated in this process of healing. So since then, I don't sleep on my left side anymore. One, I couldn't because of the injury.
Right.
I mean, everything was happening from the C6 of C5 all to the left of my arm into my armpit. Right. But the explanation of laying on my back and letting my body get the full head to toe. It's the download, let the computer shut down at night and let it flow. And I wake up so much more rested and less pain, no lower right and the hip and everything. It's just, makes a difference.
You need to sleep less if your body is actually resting.
Right. And I felt comfortable.
Now, I will tell you this. This is 100% accurate. Everyone here that says that they can't sleep on their back, eventually you will sleep on your back and they will throw dirt in your face and then they'll put a granite marker up on top of you that says rest in peace. Now, isn't that ironic? The only way that you've slept in your life is this. Right. And became old because of the position that you're in.
That's amazing.
If you see somebody that's tall and erect and they're 90 years old, they don't sleep on their side. They sleep on their back. Because nobody that sleeps on their side will ever be tall and erect when they get old. They'll all be stooped and bent and twisted. And here's the thing. We've worked on people that walked in on walkers. We get their hip flexors opened up. We lengthen their low back. We get their glutes released. We get their hamstrings lengthened a little bit. And when they get off the table, they can stand up straight.
And that's an awesome feeling.
And when they can also pick their legs up. When you see somebody shuffling when they're older, there's two things going on. When you're bent forward, you can't pick your legs up very well because the muscles are contracted because you're stooped forward. So even if you're healthy, try this. Go ahead and stand up tall and then bend forward and try to pick your legs up high. You can't because you're in that position. Right. So if you release the hip flexors, and their job is to pick your legs up, that's what they do. And for athletes, that's one of the primary things. Like if they can pick their legs up higher and faster, they can be much faster. They can jump higher. All of the metrics that they measure for being athletic are it's necessary to have their legs come up high and fast.
Right.
Better vertical, better speed, and all that type of thing. And we work with professional athletes all the time and get them faster and stronger so that they can swing a bat harder, so that they can throw harder, so that they can do all of these things without damaging their bodies. And so if we can get them open up and lengthen so that they can pick their legs up and down, then their toe isn't going to catch the threshold when they're walking through a room and through a doorway where they're going to trip and fall and hit their head on the countertop. And then it's like, that's 3 times this month, Dad, you have to go to the nursing home. That's not necessary. The whole aging process, by the way, is a lie. Our bodies are supposed to function at a very high level until our heart stops. That's what happens. That's what's supposed to happen. And when you can get somebody to buy into, I'm going to sleep in a neutral position at night so that my body can heal itself like it's supposed to. And I'm going to stay hydrated. Yes. And I'm going to eat the foods that are best for me. And that's another discussion we can get into. Yes. But if we do that and allow this machine to function like it was built to do, the aging process is a lie. It's an absolute lie. You haven't gotten there yet, but when you turn 50 years old, you're going to get a packet in the mail from AARP, and they're going to try to sell you walkers and canes and just about every implement that you can think of for an aging person. They're trying to get it in your head that you're old now.
Yeah. And that's the norm. That is the norm. Just like when we feel these aches and pains, I can just take some Advil, Tylenol, Aleve, whatever. Oh, and then when I had gone to the doctor, here is not graduating from the over-the-counter, here are these pharmaceuticals. Here's your anti-inflammatory. Yeah. Here's your nerve blocker. And I thought...
Symptom fixers.
Exactly. But then I thought, how is that affecting the rest of my body for me to be on pharmaceuticals that are anti-inflammatory instead of anti-inflammatories that are natural from food and water and icing?
And then read the problems with those different things, all the side effects from those things.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
And see, and then going through, I can't tell you how many times my mother would say, aging sucks. Well, it's how you're aging. It's the way you've chosen to age. And then after a point of time, she's accelerated her aging so much, it's no longer a choice. Now it's everyone else having to care for her.
Right.
And that's what led into the dementia.
Yeah.
And that's when I thought, this isn't just aging. This is not genetics. This is not going to be my life. What do I do? And it was put on the brakes. What do I do to live a better lifestyle so I'm not aging as fast as she did?
Right.
Because my mother will be 73 this month. 73. But if you were to meet her and spend time with her, you would think you were spending time with a 90-year-old.
And there's that I'm telling you, almost all of that is preventable.
Absolutely.
And it's reversible.
Yes.
And that's the thing that people just don't understand is like these things, your body was, like we were given, in the Bible it says we have 120 years. And one of the things I did a long time ago is I claimed all 120 of them. I'm going to take them all because I have things to do.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of things I'm trying to accomplish and a lot of things people that I'm trying to help because that's what look, if you think that things make you happy, you're wrong. If you think money makes you happy, you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's always nice, but that's not it.
No.
You know what? It's helping people. That's what makes people happy. That's what we're built for. That's what's inside each one of us. And if we take our eyes off of ourselves and we start looking around, see, it's part of the reason why I do what I do is this. If you're in pain, you're focused on you. You're focused on you. You're focused on your pain. You're trying to get rid of that. And until that's gone, that's going to be your focus. Just like the baby. Your focus is the pain. You want to get rid of it. You don't know how. You're just in pain all the time. So that's where your focus is. So until you get rid of the pain, you can never, ever accomplish what you are here for. I heard a stat recently. The chances of you and I sitting in this room together, or you being alive, me being alive at this moment in history, is 400 trillion to 1.
Wow.
We are not here by accident. We're here on purpose. Yes. We all have purpose. And I think the most important thing for every single one of us is to find out what that purpose is. And I had somebody recently, I told them that, and they said, well, how in the world do I find that out? And I said, ask God, he'll tell you. He's not going to keep that information away from you.
Exactly.
So find out why you're here, and then go and pursue that and do that. And guess what? You're going to be happy the rest of the days of your life. And if you do that, and if we can get people out of pain and break the chains that are holding them down from accomplishing what they're here for, that's my purpose. That's the reason I do the things that I do, because I think we all have reason for being here.
Yes.
And we all should find out what that is. And if we can do that, we're going to change lives, and we're going to change the way this world is headed.
Wasn't that amazing, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know about you, but I am claiming my 120 years. I hope this gave you more food for thought. And if you have any questions, you can go back to www.proactivecaregiver.com for more information. But I also want to remind you, part 3 coming next is going to be about how pushing through the pain hurts us as caregivers. Until then, be proactive, everybody. Thank you for joining today. To find out more about becoming a proactive caregiver yourself, visit proactivecaregiver.com and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Music provided by www.joystop.org. The Proactive Caregiver is produced by Ken and Light Media.